Welcome to this holiday episode of the Forgotten Fields Project. I'm Robin Reed alongside Tara Williamson, and this time around, we're going to share some holiday cheer, some music, and some stories. So let's get started. Well, Tara, I don't know. I'm in the mood now. Are you in the mood for a little holiday chat?
I am.
You know, we're recording this episode in mid-December, and I wonder what your experience has been so far just with humanity. Have you noticed the crowds at various places?
I try to stay in my hobbit hole at home as much as I can. I might be approaching that hermit status too. There's like 3 lights in Daleville. I can't handle that.
That's right. And the thing I'm noticing is it's every bit as busy as it is depicted in our memories and in our experiences. But I don't know. It just seemed to come up so quickly. I can't quite explain what happened this time.
It is. I think the very interesting thing is that was now holiday shopping is just all online. And I wonder what that kind of does to the whole the feeling you used to get when you go to the malls in the late 80s and the 90s and that kind of general sensation.
Christmas Eve at Tyson's Corner in Northern Virginia was one thing that you literally couldn't change which store you were going to because the mass of humanity just drove you past wherever you were going and you just had to bail and stuff like that.
Yes, the closest to ever feeling like a cow will come in the chute.
Well, let me ponder that just a little bit as we talk about the weather just briefly. This time around, I was thinking, was the weather frightful or was it, in fact, delightful? I'll ask your opinion to start off. Are you doing okay weather-wise?
The wind was very intense last week.
A couple of times.
So what was going on there?
It was windy.
Okay, any type of front? What was causing that?
Answer is yes.
Okay.
It was the wind. It was the front. It was all the changes that occur. Did you notice that right before it got windy, it got like stupid warm for a day? Mm-hmm. Like 60?
Yeah.
And then 20. And then 60. And then 20. So those changes in the temperature is what is being driven by the jet stream. And the jet stream is moving the air above us really fast. And when it comes down to the ground, hello.
Okay. So it's just
some
little convection cycle type.
It is
movement.
Nothing more than that. It's just more noticeable when it goes from 60 to 20.
And very noticeable in a tin roof.
So I would go with, I think, frightful for this one instead of delightful. Except snow flurries. That was always nice.
Yes.
Hey, it's snowing. Well, no, it's not. Hey, no, it's not. You know, flurries are flurries.
Now, I was going to ask you, we had something on the farm I've never seen before. The snow was almost like little balls of styrofoam.
Oh. You know what that's called?
No.
Grapple.
Oh, okay.
Look it up.
Grapple.
I think it's Graupel. Grapple.
Okay.
So what happens is in the clouds, sometimes it's a snowflake. Often is. It often starts as a snowflake. As it's falling, it might melt and turn into like a little raindrop. And then just before it falls, it freezes again and makes a little piece of grapple. And it looks like that little teeny balls of styrofoam because it's been melted frozen.
But we could stop that with a hail cannon.
If we have to battle grapple with a big boomer, that grapple's kind of mean. Last I checked, nobody got hurt by grapple. But so I'm going to go with frightful just because it was windy and cold and, there was that. And then, of course, what happens on all the radio stations, all the streaming services this time of year? What kind of music is that?
Inundated. Purgatory, I think is what it's called. But Christmas joy.
Yes. So to speak. So let us lean into a quick, not so much a myth or folklore, but just the songs and the lyrics that often are, dating back several hundred years, and the lyric sort of doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And the one that we've been thinking about here the last couple of days is "The Cattle Are Lowing."
Well, if you've ever been on a farm, cows don't make any type of... No, none of the animals on the farm ever make a normal animal sound. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what these books are talking about with the kids and everything. There's no gentle moo. I've never heard it. But lowing actually comes... It's based off the sound they make. So kind of like an automatopoeia, right? Mm-hmm. But it's an old English word that it's lowing. So it's kind of more from that to lowing and never had an ing to begin with.
Okay.
And it's just the sound that they make. And I would do the normal sound they make, but... ugh.
Okay, let me ponder that, and then I may ask you later. But
Don't make
for
me
the
do
time
it.
being, you're
Yes.
flinching, so no, we'll have to go. I think as a child, we thought it was they were sitting down or laying down. They were lowing, going low for the season. But that's not it at all.
I want to do that. That's called that's called ground beef. When a cow lays on the ground, that's ground beef.
Is it?
Yes. So
You're
I think
pulling my
getting
leg again, aren't you?
confused. Yeah.
Well, the myth was, since we were talking about myths, is once they sit down like that, it's about to rain or snow because they're covering their odors.
Yes, and don't tip them too. That's
No,
a horrible hobby.
That's a bad idea.
Don't do that.
Bad
Yeah.
idea. Okay. Well, the cattle are lowing means they're walking around making a little noise, making cow noises or cow sounds or whatever they're going to do. So that's our little tip to the holiday. What in the world does that thing mean? So you got anything else?
No, but I mean, you were talking about wassailing earlier, so let's
Oh,
work that in too.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna do that, but we'll do it this way.
Okay.
We're gonna build you up to it just a little bit because, for the first time in our episodes here, we're going to have a guest musical performance, and this particular musician is from the mountains of North Carolina. His name is Geoff White. He's a trained classical violinist, but when he discovered old-time music, which of course would be very popular in North Carolina, he transferred his skills over to fiddle playing. Tara, is there a difference between a fiddle and a violin?
I mean, it's the way you play it. It's
Exactly.
the nature of the music.
Same instrument, same tuning, but you play it a little bit differently. And so Geoff has been connected to Cajun-style music. He's done a lot of things in his teaching career. He owns his own teaching academy called the Roanoke Fiddle Lessons. He plays professionally, and you can actually hear him performing around and about Southwest Virginia from time to time. He also has a video production company. So he had a lot of influences in his time, but mostly in the last week, since Teresa Reed spends some time with Geoff each week fiddling around, they got to discussing wassailing, except it's not really pronounced that way, just as you pointed out that in Old English pronunciations or even the origin of the word, it's not exactly what we think of it today. So when you hear the word wassail, what do you think of? What's the first thing that pops into your mind? Wassail.
I mean, I'm thinking of a bird whistle.
Okay. I was thinking of food because I'm hungry right about now.
Okay.
And it turns out it's closer to that. It's a drink. It's a warm apple cider filled with all kinds of spices. It's a wassail.
What's that based off of, though?
There's a question I can't answer. I was prepared for a lot of them, but not that one. Not that one.
Like Victorian. It seems very.
It's old and Celtic.
Begins, okay. We are in Celtic. That's right.
Yeah. So, but it's pronounced differently by the people that sort of use the word the way they wanted to use it. It's wassail. Wassail. And then we just say wassail.
Yeah.
Wassail. It's kind of cooler that way, isn't it?
Wassail.
Wassail. That's it. That's what they do. It is more than just a drink, by the way. It also means be in good health.
Okay. So
So-
it's like a cheers, salute type.
Yeah, it would be nice, right? So if you're drinking warm apple cider, you would probably be in good health.
Well, get to it then.
There we go.
The strong type, yeah.
We'll talk about that after this episode. So anyway, that's sort of what the words mean. And so what Geoff is going to do is he's going to play for us what on the sheet music is labeled as English wassail. And here he goes. So, in our last episode, you gave us a lovely poem that had to deal with farming experiences. And I think maybe the holidays have inspired you this time around to write us a story about a couple of farm animals. So, would you like to get that started? We can do that together. Are
Yeah,
you ready?
yeah. Animal Farm was already taken, so this was the next best thing for Christmas.
Very good. All right. So, for the season, at the foot of the Blue Mountains, winter was enveloping the farm like the downy embrace of a favorite quilt. It was a palpable feeling, one that could almost make you believe that there was a hint of magic in the world. December marked a time of both peace and frenzied anticipation as the animals hurried to and from to prepare for the nearing holiday, hoping to create the most ideal, perfect celebration to share with each other. This was, after all, the most wondrous time of the year. Perhaps no two animals felt these emotions as strongly or as differently as Dusty the hen and Louie the ram. Oh, they'd been friends for as long as they could remember, back when they were little things with few cares or responsibilities to the world. Dusty had always been quick-witted and swift-footed, constantly darting around the barnyard, hopping about tirelessly, and clucking about the need to get things done. From dusk to dawn, she ran from one task to the next, always chasing after more, never quite satisfied with her progress or results.
Why waste time on idle things?
She would say.
Hard work is rewarded, and you'll never get your dreams unless you put in the hours.
Louis, on the other hoof, was content. He spent his days basking in the warmth of the sun, nibbling on fresh grass, and gazing at stars. Life is about finding peace in the present moment, he often mused, when confronted by Dusty and her endless work ethic. There's just beauty in simplicity and happiness in just being. If you find joy within, you'll find magic everywhere around you.
See, those are the type of thoughts that will keep you exactly where you are. You stifle your potential. You'll never get ahead. You can't just expect a good life to fall into your trough without putting in any effort. It's not magic.
Yeah, that's what Dusty would exclaim. But I'm exactly where I want to be.
You just don't see it.
She would throw up her wings in frustration, ruffling her feathers as she hopped off to tackle another project. But they weren't always so different. Life goals and ambition and ideals had created many paths, but where time had pulled them apart, maybe memories could bring them back. Christmas was now fast approaching, and as Louis pondered what gift to get Dusty for Christmas, he reflected on their past together. Their young days were full of adventure. He remembered how they used to visit the riverbank and feel the squish of the sand on the shore, how they used to meander through the field of pollinator wildflowers, marveling at the beauty of each tiny bloom. Dusty would always spend tireless minutes trying to pick out a perfect few to bring back to her big barn for the display, and Louis would always help carry them when she could no longer fit any more in her beak. But their favorite times were when they would venture out into the far reaches of the farm, to the edge of the highest field where they could view the mountains at their finest. Dusty would always scramble to make the quick nest for each of them out of loose sticks and pine needles, and they would sit contentedly for hours watching the sun make its last trace before waving in a final good night as it dipped beyond the peaks. As Louis smiled at these recollections, he knew the perfect gift. Meanwhile, Dusty was working as hurriedly as ever. She had spent weeks making and setting aside gifts for all the farm animals and was getting ready for her most ambitious gift, a huge, fancy wreath for Louis's sheep barn. It had taken her days to collect enough material, and she'd even dipped into her most valuable stores of hay, wool, and evergreen branches in the process. After many sleepless nights, she finally finished. It was the strongest, highest quality, and most labor-intensive creation out of the coop yet. The other hens marveled, and she smiled as she nodded her beak, knowing it would be the crowning jewel of farm decor for years to come.
The best gift for the best friend.
When Christmas Day finally arrived, the farm was abuzz. The exchange of presents started early in the morning, and the warm sound of laughter could be heard from every barn, manger, trough, and coop. Dusty could barely keep her excitement contained as she gave Louie his gift. As he nibbled open the wrapping, all the other animals gathered around in amazement at Dusty's work. "That's massive! Look at how intricate! It must have taken days and days of work." Louie turned to Dusty. "This is a beautiful piece of art. I know it must have taken so much effort. Thank you." Dusty basked in the compliments and felt such pride at a task so well accomplished. Louie brought out his gift for Dusty. She pecked at the bundled package and revealed a tiny gift. A small bundle of winter grasses and milkweed pods tied up with a simple woolen bow.
What is it?
She asked. Louie laughed and shook his head. "I thought maybe you had forgotten, so I wanted to remind you. All those times we would walk through the meadow and you would collect the prettiest flowers. Well, there aren't any flowers right now, of course, but these are just as beautiful if you take the time to look."
Oh.
Dusty was at a loss. Louie was right. She'd actually forgotten. She couldn't actually remember the last time she had taken so long to look at anything. The last time she went on a walk, she listened to the hum of the insects, felt the sand of the riverbank beneath her feet. When was the last time she had admired the flowers? She couldn't remember the last time she had just been.
"Thank you,"
she said quietly, maybe to herself as much as to Louie. As all the animals began to gather at the largest barn on the farm to prepare for the Christmas feast, just as the snow began to fall, she made her way to join them. Dusty paused and began to try to take the time to be. As soon as she did, she was. The way the barn lights made the falling snowflakes twinkle, the soft chime of the rustling branches in the trees as the cold breeze winded through the fields. She turned to share the beauty with Louie, but he wasn't there.
"Where's Louie?"
she asked around, but nobody knew. She set off to find him. As she searched, she suddenly had an idea. She walked through the meadow and saw the winter grasses, the milkweed, and the yellowed brush. She walked by the riverbank and heard the gentle bubbling of water over cold ice. And she kept walking until she reached the view of the blue mountains. There was Louie. Sitting on a simple patch of field, he was gazing at the peaks as they began to form the lightest blanket of snow. Dusty sidled up beside him, wool keeping her warm without the need for nesting. "Isn't this beautiful?" Louie whispered quietly.
"It's magical." "Have you forgotten?"
We thank you for joining this holiday episode of the Forgotten Fields Project. The executive producer of Forgotten Fields is Teresa Christmas Cookies Reed. Interview segments were conducted by Tara, the Christmas Poetry in Her Heart Williamson. Our resident Mythbuster is the one and only Dusty Williamson. I'm Robin, just a dusting of snow Reed. And we hope that you will join us in 2025 as we continue the journey